Marisa Abela and Sam Taylor Johnson, thank you for your time, director and star of Back to Black. Firstly, can I also say thank you for Industry, Marisa? Loved it.
Thank
And
you.
Sam, how can we not love Nowhere Boy?
Oh, thank you. Oh, starting well.
Well, need I not? I don't need to start with that because this movie is so fantastic. I described it as fragility at its finest in
Mm.
my summary after seeing it, and that's thanks to you, Marissa. Amazing performance. A daunting job to go into, though.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, a big responsibility. And I think you really have to like take stock in those moments when you're offered jobs with that much demand from you. But yeah, I think it's always once you sort of figure out that there's ways in, it's exciting to be able to do something like that.
And Sam, I love how much effort and time you put into this. Things like going to the good mixer to film. I mean,
Mhm.
probably a mad idea in some ways, but also a great idea for this film. A challenge in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, as much as possible, I wanted to feel that Camden was a big character in the movie and that we could go to the places that she went to, the real places. So we filmed in the Good Mixer and we also filmed in the Dublin Castle. But I mean, the real gift to us were both places were relatively unchanged. And we could sort of step in there and we had to take down a few, pictures and posters of Amy. But other than that, everything was the same. So it felt like it still had the kind of the spirit and the texture of that time.
How much did you actually watch of Amy in the lead up to this role, Marissa? I mean, did you kind of do a lot of that, or did you do a little bit of that because you didn't want to get too consumed? How did you
Oh
approach it?
no, I did a lot of that, definitely. I mean, I think that, you know, uh, there's so much out there, and I think that in itself says something. There is so much footage of Amy that exists, both in interviews and sort of in a consensual way, and then also in this kind of in this way that feels slightly more invasive, and that tells its own story. But no, for me it was very important. Our story is being told from Amy's perspective, and what that means is that in order to play her, I wanted to get that perspective right. And as well as all of the technical stuff, someone's point of view on the world is, I think, an incredibly important thing to understand. And you only get close to that when you sort of are consumed by them.
And then, from your point of view, Sam, having so much of Amy out there and then trying to put together her life for the big screen,
Mm.
is that make the job harder or easier?
Um, Easier in a lot of respects, but what it did was it really illuminated how followed she was, that I could, Google any day of her life at a certain
Wow.
point, and I could see so many pictures of her from so many different angles, which also gave me the insight that she was followed, by 8 to 10 paparazzi all day, every day, and every single, moment of her life was just documented in that way. And so it put me in the headspace of what would that feel like, how does that feel when you're struggling or just going about your daily business, and there's these sort of big burly men just constantly with you documenting your every move. And so that obviously played into the movie a lot, just into that sort of vulnerability and what that must have felt like.
Marissa, last question. Your voice is fantastic. You do an amazing job, not only acting, but singing in this film. But Giles Martin, being in the room with him, having the opportunity, I mean, not that you needed a lesson or anything, but what was that like?
It was amazing. I mean, there were two, I had all my singing training was with a vocal coach called Anne-Marie Speed, and we sort of worked on the technical stuff. And then Giles kind of came in when we were working in Abbey Road and when we were recording, and he was really helpful also in time. He's worked with so many incredible musicians, and yes, I'm playing Amy Winehouse, like the icon, but also she was in those sessions. She was recording, she recorded these albums, and he was able to give me some amazing insight into, like that process, by going through it myself, I really understood, you know, what that process kind of looked like. But he's also just a really special person, and an amazing, you know, an amazing sort of, he has so much knowledge to share. So it was great.
Marisa and Sam, thank you so much for this film. It's one of the films of the year. You've done Amy Winehouse's life story so well. You've done it on honor. Thank you for the time.
Oh, thank you so
Thanks
much.
so
That really
much.
means a lot.
Nice to meet you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.